Hello. Let's see if I can get my little thingy not to show my green screen. We'll see. Kind of, sort of. Oh, now you see my room, though. I probably should have adjusted this better. Top secret what's behind here. Okay. We're going to go live here on YouTube for a little bit before I head over to Instagram for my sponsored live with Basic Bites, which I can talk a little bit more about this if anyone wants to know, but I will talk about them a lot over on Instagram. But today, my hope is by going live over here regularly, I've got to find a time that works for people. For me, middle of the day is good on Tuesdays, maybe another day if my kid's napping, but Tuesdays, doesn't matter if she's napping, I've got childcare. But if there is a time of day that works better, let me know in the comments and I'll put the replay up. Let me know in the comments too if you weren't able to watch live, but you're in the replay. You can type on there. Just let me know. A time of day that works better, generally consistency for people who might want to check out the live, who have questions, especially if you're going through my course and you have questions. That's primarily what I want this to be for, is we're going to kind of talk about my course a little bit, which is tantrum-free toothbrushing, cavity-free without the tears. It is a tongue twister, but I'm a pediatric dentist, board certified. I practice in Virginia, but I talk a lot about adult dental health topics too, because as a pediatric dentist, I feel like I'm pretty nice. I feel like I'm nice. And so people have found through my social media channels that I am not judgy. You can ask any question that you want to, and I'm not going to shame you. I'm going to give you a reasonable answer to the best of my ability. As a pediatric dentist, I can still talk about grown-up things. I treat teens. We treat adults who are medically complex. They still come and see us as pediatric dentists. So I like to talk about lots of dental topics, not just kids. But let me see if I can get my little comment box up. I'm just going to say in here, let me know if you have questions. I'll try not to be too weird, but no promises. But yeah, I don't remember on YouTube if like the comments show up. If you know, you may do YouTube lives more than me. I primarily was going live on TikTok and just found that it's a strange place to be. So I'm migrating to YouTube. I like Instagram too. I do that more for my sponsored stuff. What I like about YouTube is it just lives on forever. I mean, that is true of Instagram too, but YouTube is so searchable. So a lot of what we talk about, if someone has that question, they can come back and find it. But my plan today is just to talk about my course until anyone comes up with a specific question otherwise, and just issues surrounding tantruming or struggling, fighting, whatever you want to call it. Just a young child, typically toddlers, who fight or resist toothbrushing. What can you do? What are your options other than just holding them down while they're screaming? And that is obviously not something that anyone wants to do. We don't want our children to have a negative association with toothbrushing time. It's something that we know they need to do. It is something that we must accomplish every day on repeat, at least twice, hopefully morning and nighttime, to help them not have cavities, to not end up needing dental surgery, which a lot of times for kids who are under age 5, if they have multiple areas with dental disease, they're going to have to be put to sleep, which is general anesthesia. Like any other surgery, the dentist goes and it does the surgery for that child, but they're put to sleep by an anesthesiologist. And that can be really expensive. A lot of times, even with dental insurance, it doesn't cover all of it. And so that's what we're trying to avoid for these parents, is the trauma of that for the child and the parent, because that's a really stressful thing. And just the need for that extensive and expensive dental work. So we want to establish a good home routine that isn't stressful, that is something that can feel like it's easy to accomplish every single day. It doesn't feel like you're just pulling teeth, literally. That's a bad dentist comparison. But how do we help people do that? What is the key to having a good toothbrushing routine? And honestly, I think one of the most important things that we need to do as parents, and what I have found in my own parenting journey, and I've got 3 kids, 7-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So they're relatively pretty young. And I have faced my fair share for sure of just, I don't know, what you would call battles, struggles with daily tasks like snack time, begging for snacks, with putting on clothes, with potty training, all of these things. But toothbrush time is, even though I'm a dentist, one of the things where I have struggled with my kids, especially certain ones at certain times, certain ages. That's one thing to remember. I think that it is fluid, that kids change. I joke that they're like cats, like the thing that worked yesterday may not work today. But yeah, it's something that we just have to roll with the punches, figure out our own unique situation with our child. And I'll caveat by saying a lot of my advice is geared toward neurotypical children, although it can prove helpful sometimes for a child that is neurodiverse. You just got to take what I'd say with a grain of salt and apply it to your own child if it seems like it makes sense. But generally, my course is walking through recommendations for a child who's neurotypical, but a lot of the stuff I think is effective for children with autism, children, ADHD, those kind of things can help too. A lot of kids and a lot of adults have struggles around repetitive tasks every day, like care tasks, so like toothbrushing, when they have ADHD, when they're autistic. And so some of these tips can prove helpful in that regard too. And I hope it can help you. But we are going to talk a little bit about predictability and consistency and what that means at certain ages. For kiddos, it's really hard for them to understand time. It is something that to us makes sense, right? We have this schedule. We put on our pajamas every day after bath time. Like we've got to understand that this is what happens. This is the order of things. But kids are not that way. Like I don't know if your kids are like my kids, if you got kids, what they really want is consistency, predictability, but they require reminders, visual reminders. So you can print out a schedule for them and you can put it in a little pocket chart, and that can be something they can follow every day. I like to tell a story. I am obviously, I don't know, a little exuberant at times. I try not to be. So for my kids, I will tell them a story every day of what we're going to be doing. I'm narrating their life. It feels like, okay, guys, in 10 minutes, we're going to be putting on shoes and socks, and we're going to be going out the door to whatever place we're doing. Or, hey guys, 5 minutes, we're going to be wrapping up snack time. We're going to go have some playtime for 10 minutes, and then we're headed upstairs to bath time. Like I'm narrating and letting them know every day, even though they're 7, 5, and 3, what's going to happen, because they like predictability and consistency, and they don't remember. They don't remember. I don't know. My 4-year-old, she is no longer doing this. She was 4, now 5. But when she was 4, she would talk about going to sleep, nap time, and she would call it the light nap, nap time, and dark nap, bedtime, because she didn't really understand that it wasn't a new day. She was just like, I sleep and it's a new day. And so she's like, after the dark nap, it'll be tomorrow. And then before was yesterday. And she didn't really understand time, even though she was a preschooler. And so kids, their grasp of time and schedules is not like ours as adults. Their brains are still very much developing. And so just showing them some grace and really helping them through is going to help them realize just that yes, toothbrushing happens. It's consistent. It's predictable as much as we can, right? Within our own lives and our own schedules. Some of us has really hectic schedules, hectic home lives. We're single parenting. We've got different people stepping in at different times. And so again, do what you can, adapt this to your family, but wherever possible, trying to be consistent and predictable. And the toothbrushing routine is going to help them. So narrating, telling the story, what's going to be happening next, putting for younger kids like a picture pocket chart that they can follow. You can even get really fancy and like put Velcro on it and kind of follow along. A lot of kids will like that. But yeah, consistency, predictability is a big thing. I have just made available, because I talk about this a lot. This is one of the greatest struggles a lot of people face. So please, if you are struggling with brushing your child's teeth, you're like, I'm just a horrible parent. Like, why can't I do this? First, hey, I am a dentist, and I struggled with each of my 3 kids at various points. It wasn't the same for each one with brushing their teeth for various reasons. My 5-year-old now, her 6-year molars are coming in, and they're hypoplastic. So they're weak. The enamel's not strong, and they're really sensitive to cold. And so I've had to navigate that with her of like honoring her pain, but also keeping her teeth clean and healthy and like working around that. So a lot of times, again, like cats, the thing that worked yesterday may not work today, and we've got to be flexible and work with our child and treat each child as an individual. If your eldest child was just an angel and perfect at brushing their teeth, and the middle child or younger child is just absolute terror, it speaks nothing to you. And it's just who that child is, and we've got to kind of go with it. But I took my program. I'm going to get my little summary sheet because I forget it, but I have an acronym that I made up over the course of my dental career and motherhood thus far, that I eventually landed on for helping a child through not just toothbrushing, but really anything that they're really struggling with. Like, what is this system? I'm type A, if you can't tell. Most dentists are. We're a little neurotic. We're a little special, but I am type A, and I like a system. I like something that I can know, so that in the moment, and this is true for kids too, but when I don't know if you guys are familiar, I talk about it in my course, Dan Siegel, the whole brain child, and he talks about the brain and how when your lid is flipped, you're in your emotional brain, you're not able to access a deeper part that is the concrete reasoning, the thinking brain, where you can plan and that kind of stuff. And then we think about kids, they're still developing their brains, and not just that they're in their emotional brain, but they're still developing their frontal cortex, long even into like 20s, that's still developing. So they're still learning how to plan and just think ahead to the future. So that's why, again, the schedule thing is hard. So I created for me, but also for kids, again, predictability, consistency, a system to follow, a checklist in my head that when I'm dysregulated, my lid is flipped. They're screaming in front of me, and I'm just like, how do I find my calm so that I can help them be calm? What is a system I can follow? And that's what I call my SMILE method. SMILE. And it stands for something because I was a big nerd and I liked making acronyms and rainbow colored, I don't know, what do you call them? Study guides. And that's kind of what I did for SMILE method. And then I stuck it in video form in my course. And my course is a lot more than just tantrum free toothbrushing. I think maybe a misnomer, and it's also pretty long. So probably need to rebrand, but whatever. One day, many moons from now. But it goes into too, it's talking about the importance of dental hygiene at a young age, establishing good routine, how to do that when you hit struggles. But it's also talking about teething and what are safe things to use. It goes through dental trauma prevention. It goes through just routine tools to use in general at what ages and how to use them. I give demonstrations for toothbrushing positioning and how to brush teeth effectively and where you want to be sure you're brushing commonly missed places. I'm talking about cavity prevention and what factors impact cavity formation. And so this isn't just relevant for kids, it's relevant for parents too in their own dental health journey. I find a lot of parents that are the most invested in dental health education and learning more about caring for their child's teeth are ones who didn't have that themselves. And so it's great as they're learning about their child's dental health and how to prevent cavities and what factors impact cavity formation. They too are learning that for themselves and can shift and adjust and improve their own oral health. So that is my hope through my course, that it's comprehensive. It's really not only this toothbrushing struggle piece, but that toothbrushing struggle piece is where I meet most people on social media, that no one's really looking for a pediatric dentist to follow unless they're just out of desperation, like, dear God, what are we doing? Like, everyone's screaming every night and I hate my life. Like, how do I not be in that point? And that's where they can enter into that course and get that help and then circle back to other information as it becomes interesting and useful to them. So I hope the whole thing's helpful. But my SMILE method is kind of the meat and potatoes, and I have made that available, that section of my course. I have a 3-tiered membership, not just subscribing, but tiers of membership so that I can answer, because what I find as my channels grow, and this one's starting to balloon too, which is cool, right? I'm really grateful. I'm glad people are interested in what a dentist has to say. But as they balloon and grow, TikTok did, and then Instagram, it becomes really hard to answer people's questions. And then you get inundated by trolls and things too. And so as my YouTube now has hit over 5,000, I decided to install or whatever, initiate, maybe that's the word. Man, live is hard because I can't go back and cut out my lack of my brain's ability to like land on the right word. But I have put in place 3 tiers of membership to kind of prepare myself as this grows, to have people have access to me who wish to a bit more, and will get priority answers to questions, answering polls, and dictating future content. And I made my course available through all 3 tiers. The lowest tier is $2.99, but you can access that meat and potatoes part rather than paying for the full course. So I hope if that is like your burning question, then they can just go join my YouTube, come and catch these lives and watch that little section of the course on my SMILE method. Okay. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit here, but SMILE is my kind of systematized method of going through a toothbrushing tantrum. And so the SMILE part, the S of SMILE, stands for spice it up. And that just means before you get into a full-blown tantrum, things that you can try to do to keep it from going into that. And for spice, I'm a white girl, so I go with salt. And salt, what it stands for, is silliness, so being silly. And then A is ask them for help. So ask them to help you brush a doll's teeth. Ask them to help you get a front tooth that you just can't quite scrub right, whatever. So trying to involve them in the care, help them have a sense of autonomy and agency. That's going to help a lot of times, especially at that 18-month to 3.5-ish age, where they're really resisting and wanting to do things on their own. Inviting them in to do something on their own is going to help. So SAL is for let them choose. So again, giving them agency, power, autonomy, letting them make a small choice that's related to the toothbrushing task. So which toothbrush do you want to use? Where do you want to stand? And that can help if they really aren't wanting to cooperate. You can say, hey, do you want to stand on your stool in front of the mirror to watch? Or do you want to lay in my lap while we brush? And so it's a kinder way of being like, hey, this is going to happen, but you can choose to lay in my lap and we'll brush that way if you want to. But letting them choose can give them a sense of autonomy, agency too. And then T, telling them what's going to happen next. So we want to avoid bribing. Oh, if you let mommy brush your teeth, we'll read 2 books. You don't want to say, if Then, like a bribe, you want to say, hey, we're going to get to read 2 books after this. So let's brush your teeth real quick, okay? You see the difference? There's no like if then, it's telling what's going to happen and then talking about what you're going to do. So that is salt. Silliness, asking for help, letting them choose, and then telling them what is next, being sure it's not bribery, but like talking about something coming up that's exciting. Oh my gosh, we get to try that brand new toothpaste they got when we brush your teeth. Let's go do it. Something like that. So it's not bribing, just telling them about something exciting to look forward to, either after the task or involved in the task. So that's the S, the smile part. Okay. But that is kind of in a nutshell what I hope to go through is just like parts of my smile method and then really answering questions if people have them. I see you guys out there. If you got questions, let me know. If you don't, that's okay too. And I hope as these lives grow, as I do them more consistently, and we'll start to get just questions and answers, and it'll go on as long as it needs to, as long as I'm able to answer questions. But I am going to head over to Instagram next. I'm going live over there in a few minutes. I got to make sure my setup, because I film in a little as gorgeous as this backdrop is. I'm on my computer here, so I have my webcam, but I'm going to film on my phone for Basic Bites, and I'll head over to Instagram to go live over there. You're going to hear me talk a lot more about Basic Bites. It is this little candy chew, but it's good for the teeth, and I use it for my kids. I love it. It has really helped me with my daughter with her hypoplastic 6-year molars that are weak, just lowering her cavity risk there, and I'll talk a lot more about those over on Instagram. But I hope this was helpful. If you've got questions, again, let me know. And the big thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go before I head over to Instagram, is put a poll in. No, yeah, Chris, please. Yeah, ask a question. I'm happy to answer something. And I'm going to put a poll into for live time. So be sure to go answer that for me, as it will help me figure out, because my goal is once a week to go live for about an hour consistently at the same time, so I can just start to catch people. And maybe I'll alternate like a daytime for people who are at home or have a different schedule or a different time zone, and then an evening time, something like that, like every other week. But I'd love to make just consistent time to answer people's questions about dentistry that's shame-free and help either with kids or themselves. So yeah, Chris, please ask away. I'm happy to answer it before I head over. Anytime you can interrupt me with questions. Your son's turning 1 in a few weeks. You're noticing his teeth are growing in. He has an underbite. Should I be concerned? When those teeth first come in, they will bite any which way. They'll grind those teeth. They'll look crazy. So I would say no. Do not stress. If you have a family member with an underbite, a prominent lower jaw, that is a strong genetic trait, or it has a strong genetic component to it. So if you, if dad, if grandpa, if somebody close in relation has a strong lower jaw, they may have a strong lower jaw. But when they're 1 and those brand new teeth are coming in, so it's our molars in the back that primarily will guide how our teeth are positioned. So I wouldn't stress too much now while they're little bitty and brand new teeth, just those front ones are coming in. If it looks like they have an underbite, it's because they're over closed, because they don't have their molars to guide. But once the molars in the back come in, it'll be more clear their bite position. And your dentist, so the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry, as crazy as it sounds, recommends their first dental visit occur by their first birthday. To find a dentist that will do that, you need to look for a pediatric dentist. That is going to be linked in my website, so themamadentist.com. If you go on the FAQ page, the frequently asked questions, I've got a huge banner at the top that will help you find a pediatric dentist in your area via zip code. So you can find one. So go call a pediatric dentist, try and get him in for their first visit, and they will answer that for you even better than I can, because they'll be able to look at the kiddo. They'll do his first dental exam, all that fun stuff. And they'll go through it for you and help ease your mind if you're a little bit concerned. But I hope that helps. Thanks for asking a question, Chris. And hopefully, yeah, more that I can answer. Thanks. I'm so glad you're here. Hope it wasn't super awkward. But I appreciate you being here. I am going to end this stream, head over to Instagram. If you think of something else, find me on Instagram. And I'm going to post a poll real quick before I do that. So let me know, Chris and anybody else, let me know what is a good time of the week, of the day for lives. Thanks for being here.